My name is Matt Durden, and I am with the Library of Congress Veteran History Project. Bellevue University is a sponsor of the Nebraska Vietnam Veteran Memorial Foundation. I am here at the 38th Annual Vietnam Veteran Reunion with Army veteran Kathy Winegarden, who has agreed to share their story for the History Project and the Nebraska Vietnam Veteran Memorial Foundation. So Kathy, let's begin with your full name and where you were born.
My full name is Kathy D. Winegarden. I was born Larson in Belleville, Kansas, 70 years ago in a few days, a couple of weeks. So,
Happy birthday.
Yeah. I turned 70 on the 19th of July, so I'm officially old now.
Okay, where are we here? Can you give us a little background? Tell us a little bit about your family.
I pretty much grew up in this, between Kansas and Nebraska, and right on along the border. And my dad was a butcher. My mom was just a housewife or a waitress, when she needed to be. We were kind of on the poor side, so I had 7 brothers and sisters. All of them except one joined the military.
That's a rich history there.
And the 4 of us that were in Vietnam, or during the Vietnam era, actually I'm the only one left. They're all dead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and so I have a certain view about the whole thing,
Don't be shy. Let's hear it if you want.
See, and I'd like to be in the Army. I would do it again, but it does take a toll on you. I've lost a husband, 2 brothers, a sister. I'm it, left, and the other, we're down. Out of 7 kids, we're down to 3 now. So.
Do you have any children, grandchildren,
I've
nieces,
got
nephews?
one daughter.
One daughter?
Yeah, she lives there in Hastings with me. So.
Any nieces, nephews?
Oh, I got a whole bunch of them.
Did the military heritage within the family continue?
Yes, my dad was Navy. My oldest brother was Army. Next oldest brother was Air Force. I was Army. My youngest sister was Army. And my youngest brother was Air Force and Navy.
Okay.
So, yeah, we did a lot.
Let's talk a little bit about your Army background.
Well, when I joined the Army in 1971 in Women's Army Corps. Went to basic training in Anniston, Alabama. Managed to survive basic training and AIT. And then I was assigned to Fort Benning, Georgia, at the Army Hospital there. I was a 91 hotel orthopedic specialist. And then I stayed there for a couple of years, and then they sent me to Okinawa. I was there for about 2 years there, and my Vietnam experience was right before the fall of Saigon. We did a medevac out of the hospital there in Okinawa. Most of the medical stuff came out of the Philippines, but we did get one. So, then that was like really thrilling.
Tell me about it.
Pretty much like when they said, where you're going, I go, well, basically, son of a bitch.
Well, can you tell us about that experience?
Well, yeah, it's, this was a long, and the people I took care of, was basically, they were hurt. They weren't wounded so much as, the major person I went to take care of had fallen off a truck and broke his back. So we put him in a big cast and sent him off and actually we sent him to the Philippines. We didn't send him to Okinawa. So, and then we flew back. And that was it, like a day.
So you were a day in Okinawa?
A day in Vietnam.
Oh, okay.
I was a couple of years in Okinawa.
Okay. So can you tell me more about your experience with Okinawa as you were there?
Well, that's the first time I ever was on a beach for some reason, and the big deal was go down to the beach on the weekend, but I was like really hesitant about going in the water because they have things in the water. And I don't want to step on anything. So, but I pretty much had a good time. It was first time I was ever out of the United States, and it was, it was just different, and had a lot of fun going down to the markets and, going to the different Japanese restaurants and stuff like that. They had just started repatriating with Japan up until right before, within the year before I got there, the U.S. government had turned Okinawa back over to Japanese government. Up until then it was like military.
The entire island?
Yeah.
Okay. With regard to your experience with Vietnam, you flew into Saigon, you say?
Mm-hmm. Saigon Airport. Never left the airport.
Never left the airport?
Mm-hmm.
But you did step off the plane.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Really hot, smells bad.
Was that in general?
General,
Like,
I
would assume Okinawa had a lot of the same climate
it was
wise.
pretty hot there, but, the difference between Vietnam and Okinawa was cordite, which is gunpowder. And you can smell stuff.
So, your Vietnam era, let's focus on that side. As you were in the service at that point, I think you joined before or after the war and the conflict had started.
Oh yeah, I started in '65 and I joined in '71. I was officially over in '73, but they still had troops there. So until the Viet Cong come down through and took over the whole country.
So your visit to Saigon, when did that happen?
That happened Saigon fell on 30th of April, and we were there a couple of days before that.
So it was just before the conflict ended?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As you joined during the conflict, was there anything that you recollect or recall, any experiences, any tensions, any something notable thoughts?
Well, Vietnam was a very unpopular war with, everybody really, even the people that were in the service. So, we did, we watched all of the demonstrations and we knew that, I never had anybody really give me a hard time other than, just general. I mean, nobody spit at me. Nobody did anything like that to me personally. So.
The reason I ask is a lot of times when I hear from interviews, a person would leave to go in country to the conflict, and when they would return is when they notice that stark change of 444 and then get back and they're unwelcomed, or I don't know if you saw a change that happened.
For me as a woman in the military, most people don't even think about women in the military, at least not 50 years ago. So we didn't have this stigma other than, we were women in the military, but, you do have that.
Okay. Can you tell me some of your best thoughts of your service while in the Army?
I liked a lot of the people that, and, they have your back more than just, and I liked my job. I liked taking care of people. And then, in my later Army career, because I was in for 14 years, I started out as orthopedic specialist and I changed into unit supply. So in a way I was taking care of different areas,
Did you say supply?
Yeah.
What did you think of that side of that change?
kind of irritating sometimes because you order stuff and you need to get it, and then, anyway, it's it can be kind of frustrating because if you can't get the stuff that you need on time.
It's kind of a trend, I would say, that goes across all branches.
Mm-hmm.
It's
and it depends on what
hurry up and wait.
Yeah, down is that, and it depends on what you're ordering. Something that like food and stuff come through pretty quick. But if you needed like maybe a obscure truck part, you might not get that for a long time.
And then when you did get it, you'd have such an abundance that you'll have like a 10-year supply of this widget.
Oh yeah. First time I went to Germany, this is funny. I took over supply and the gas mask they had at the time, they had this little rubber gasket you had to put on it, and I probably had 30,000 of those suckers because they ordered it. They ordered 30 each. Well, they come in a box of 3,000, so I had a whole bunch of those things. I could have supplied all of Europe with those things. And would they take them back? No. So
I can relate. I've seen it in abundance. For like glove inserts, something just silly.
Yeah, don't order them each, because if they come in a box, you're going to get that many boxes.
You mentioned Germany. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
The first time I was in Germany, it was a 6 Notorious group in Zweibrücken, Germany, and that was in 78 to 83. And then went back to Fort Benning, Georgia, or Fort Riley, Kansas for a year or so, and then I went back to Germany, did 2 tours in Germany. Second time was in Mainz-Finten, Germany, at Combat Aviation Battalion.
Say the name.
8th Combat Aviation Battalion.
Okay.
So.
Your experiences, one better than the other?
Well, I like Germany really well. Yeah.
2 different bases.
Yeah.
One better than the other?
No, not really. I just like being in Germany. You get to do a lot of traveling, and
What did you like about it?
No, the food's really good. It's a really clean country. The beer's really good too.
Having been there and experienced it as well, I concur. It's especially when you get out and see the country itself.
Yeah, I did a lot of traveling in Germany. Yeah.
So those bases that you were at, did they let you travel a lot?
Yeah.
It allowed you to get out. Where were they in Germany?
One was the first one was not too far from the French border. The second one was up closer towards Frankfurt. But I went to a lot of different places in Germany. I went to Bremerhaven and Frankfurt, Wiesbaden, Berlin, Aschaffenburg.
Yes.
Munich.
Yes, having been there, the ability to travel to so many different countries at a moment's notice was real remarkable.
Yeah.
Luxembourg, Belgium.
Been there. Went to France. I went to Greece. I went to Israel. I went kind of all over the place when I was there.
What was the most memorable portion of your time in Germany? What was, not the time, but what was the most memorable experience that you had?
Actually, it was in Germany, but we did an RTAP, Return of Forces to Germany, from Fort Riley. That was different. We were in the field for like 3 weeks, and doing war games and stuff. So that was
the fun side of it.
Well, no, because you were working like 22 hours a day to get everything straight, so that wasn't a whole lot of fun, but it was memorable.
Memorable, yes.
Memorable.
As far as, and I'm saying holistically, not just focusing on Germany, as we're doing this for the Nebraska Vietnam veteran or Vietnam era veterans, what was with that region in mind, was there any other memorable experiences that you had? with regard to your time in Okinawa and your experiences during the Vietnam conflict while in the service.
I mean, like, I think a lot of people think that if you're in the military, you're a war fighter. Well, an awful lot of people in the military, I mean, they train you how to do it, but that wasn't my job. My job was to take care of people or make sure that they had the equipment they need, you know. I mean, I could fire a gun, but I never had to at anybody. Nobody ever shot at me that I know of. And if they did, they missed, you know, so what can I say?
I understand. Did you have any bad experiences or bad encounters from any experiences that you had during that era?
No, we're not going to talk about that. Okay.
Is there anything you would like to talk about?
Like I said before, I think I said before, you know, if I had to do it over again, I would. I might leave out some stuff, but, you know, pretty much I enjoyed myself in the Army. I liked what I did, pretty much, you know. I guess the biggest thing I had against the Army was, like, you have a job, and if you're good at it, they want you to be a supervisor. I didn't much care for that side of stuff.
It says here you made it to the rank of staff sergeant.
Yes.
So you must have been doing something right.
I couldn't say I didn't like it though. I tried, no, but you know. Mm-hmm.
Well, I thank you for your service.
Mm-hmm.
With your, well, I would say, I want to leave this open. I don't want to lead you too much as we talk. So, if there's anything you'd like to share with us in this, I want to leave that table open for you.
I know the military did a lot for me, and I'd do it again in a red hot minute.
Anything notable that they did for you, experiences-wise?
Oh, well, they helped me get an education.
We can talk about that.
And recently they gave me 100% disability because, you know, stuff happens, and you know, so I'm really happy with the health care I get and you know, stuff like that. So
can you tell me more about your education, how it helped you get your education?
You know, the GI Bill, the original GI Bill, and you know, I have associates in what the hell did they call it? Oh, clerical stuff, you know.
Okay.
So,
where did you get your associates in?
Central Community College in Hastings.
Okay, I was thinking
Office technology is what I went blank there for a minute. It was office technology.
How did you do that while you were in service? Out of service?
When I was out of service.
Okay. I know there's variables with education. I want to make sure that you know, we're capturing the intent of that. So, did you have any questions?
I guess if there were any comrades that you worked with that you had a good experience with and maybe kept in touch with?
Well, actually, I just kind of hang around with fellow veterans now, you know. And there's one of them's calling me right now. He was in the Navy. You know, because I belong to the DAB and the American Legion, and I did belong to the VFW, but we had a little falling out, so. But.
So you say DAV.
And American Legion.
And Where? Oh, in Hastings, all
Yeah.
at the
Mhm.
Hastings.
Mhm.
Okay. Do you recall any humorous occurrences or events that you may have encountered while you're for your service?
Oh, well, yeah. I guess the funniest one was, this was later when I was supply sergeant, and they come up, we're going out to the field, and they said, well, you need to build a porta potty. I said, what? I said, get a sheet of plywood, and you can make 2 seats out of it. We'll put up a screen latrine. You know, they don't do that anymore. But anyway, I could still make you two boxes to go into the woods.
Where were you lucky enough to have to do that?
That was in Germany the first time. I think when I took the wood that they cut out of the holes and painted it up and gave it to somebody. Because they helped me. I gave them a plaque to hang on the wall. I'm sure he wasn't happy about it, but I thought it was funny.
So, how did your military service affect the way you relate to others now that you're, since separated from the military?
Well, I do hang around with a lot of fellow vets, because other people just don't get it too much, I would say, where if I'm talking to a Marine, and I say, well, I always tell them, well, you can make fun of me because I was Army, and we can both make fun of the Air Force. So, that kind of humor. And they always laugh. I don't know why.
So, you're here today at the 38th annual
Yeah.
reunion. Have you attended any?
Oh, I've been going to several. Oh, yeah, I didn't during COVID, but because they didn't have one, but I've been going since, I don't know, 10, 12 years, something like that.
To this association specific?
Mm-hmm.
Any others?
No. I belong to the Women's Army Corps Association, too. But,
Is that national or is
that's
that
national, and they just don't have any chapters around here. It's mostly down south somewhere. They've got some in Florida and some in, Alabama and stuff. But there's none local to here. It's a Facebook group kind of a thing.
It does at a national level. Do they ever host any events that?
Yeah, they have a convention every year. I've never been to one of theirs, but I've been to the American Legion convention. I've been to a couple of Vietnam or VFW conventions, but I haven't been to a Legion or a DAV convention yet. Not a national one. I've been to the state one. But
Is there any routines that you may have taken on from the military and now that on this veteran side, post-military, that you take as, what I want to call it, just such a routine that you carry forward, and it kind of, like you say, they just don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
There's that mentality. Some things that you may do, or some items that you continue to hold on to because it's just become a part of you.
Yeah, mostly stuff like being on time. When in the military, if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. And if you say you're going to be there at 8 o'clock, you better be there at 8 o'clock, not 8:05. You can be a little early, but no, don't be late. And I still do that. And I still wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's kind of irritating after 30 years or so.
Wow. I think I can relate as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say the fitness side of it, the regimen of staying on the side of waking up at 5:30 and running immediately is something.
I don't do the running part anymore, but mostly because I have 2 replacement knees and I really can't. So.
Is that service related?
Well, yeah, but not officially. That's not what I got disability for.
I didn't mean to go down that path. I
but,
was just
yeah.
wasn't.
No, they say it's not, but it's just arthritis, basically.
So, as far as your military service, when did you end your military service?
I got out in September of '85. I was married at the time, and that was actually I got out because I had my daughter, basically.
And did that lead you to Nebraska?
Well, yeah. My husband grew up in Wisconsin. We settled in Missouri to start with, and then we went to Wisconsin, and then we back to Missouri, and then I wound up in Nebraska after he passed away.
Can you tell us about landing in Nebraska?
Well, I was used to Nebraska. I grew up here, so.
I thought you said Kansas.
Well, yeah, it was like the town I grew up in is like Hardy, Nebraska. It's a half a mile or less from the Kansas border, so we spent a lot of time in Kansas.
That makes sense now. That's,
We call it plumb out of Nebraska, nearly into Kansas.
So, I was thinking Kansas was farther away than our neighbor. So, apologies. Do you have anything you wanted to add? What do you wish more people knew about veterans as a whole?
Well, I don't think they give. Like Vietnam was very unpopular, but now they act like we're the general public, because you get, well, thank you for your service. Well, thank you too, but I didn't do it for you necessarily. I did it for me. And I think an awful lot of people that's what they do, because their situation is, and they, and back during Vietnam they did have the draft, but they haven't had a draft for 50 years. So anybody that's in the military now wants to be in there, and they're not taken. They have better standards for military people than they used to, because back in the day they could, you go to jail or join the army or whatever. They don't do that anymore. And here we go again.
Well, let me ask this while this is going. Is there anything about your military experience you wanted to share that you never have shared?
Some of the stuff they have you do can be very aggravating, like going out to the field and you're out there and you're running around like a crazy person trying to get everything arranged, and that can make you really tired real fast, But if usually it's your job, not necessarily in any danger. It's just it comes. I guess the biggest thing that got me crazy is like when I was a supply sergeant. The company commander comes screaming, and you got to do this. Well, that wasn't the plan for today, but you got to drop everything and do something else than you had planned. So, it's like what days you got to turn in like linen, and you got to do your supply runs and stuff, and they come screaming, and you got to do something else because it's got to be done today, now. There's never time to do it right. There's always time to do it over.
I like that. I'm gonna have to save that. Okay, I'm gonna try and round this out a little. Do you consider the service that you received from the VA to have improved since your military service?
Yes. I'm pretty sure it has, And the local VA, where, in Grand Island, excellent. They might have trouble in the bigger VA centers, but I've had treatment from the Omaha place, and they're the ones that replaced my first knee, and they did a really good job, and haven't had any trouble since. and so maybe like Phoenix, you've heard of different big medical places that might have trouble, but I think they're at least trying.
And I think it's improved overall.
I mean, I've never had to wait 6 months or anything to get any treatment or anything like that. They took a while they did various types of treatment for me for my knees before they did the replacement, but they did everything, medicine, and there's some shots, cortisone shots they can give you, and then they did all of that before they went for the knee replacement. So
You're walking.
yeah.
Without a walking stick or
No,
anything.
no.
So
Oh, you want to hear a funny story about that?
let's
When
hear it.
I had the knee, they gave me this walker and it says F22 on the side. So now I have an F22 in my basement. Nobody knows about it. It didn't cost several $100 million, but I got an F22.
Well, your secret is now safe with everyone within the Library of Congress.
Okay, now they know I've got an F22 in my basement.
Any last words you'd like to, notes you'd like to share?
Oh, I think that's probably about enough.
Well, I want to say thank you again for
Sure.
sharing your time with us. Again, we appreciate you taking the time to let us interview you.
You can edit that any way you want. I did leave out all the swear words.